Good morning and welcome to our daily devotion. So today we're going to continue on with the fruit of the Spirit, which is love. And today we're going to talk about some of the marks of love as fruit of the Spirit. It was an ancient rabbi who asked his students how they could tell the night had ended and when day was on its way back. Could it be when you see an animal in the distance and can tell whether it is a sheep or a dog? No, answered the rabbi. Could it be when you look at a tree in the distance and can tell whether it is a fig or a peach tree? No. Well, then when is it? The students demanded. It is when you look on the face of any woman or man and can see that she or he is your brother or sister. Because if you cannot do that, then no matter what time it is still night. So then, what are some of the marks by which love can be measured? This will enable you to love your enemies. The benchmark is from Matthew 5:43 through 48. Let's read that again. I think we've read that one time, but we're going to read it again. Matthew 5:43 through 48 says, "You have heard the law that says love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say, love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you, and that way you will be acting as true children of your Father in heaven. For he gives his sunlight to both the evil and the good, and he sends rain on the just and the unjust alike. If you love only those who love you, what reward is there for that? Even corrupt tax collectors do that much. If you are kind to only your friends, how are you different from anyone else? Even pagans do that. But you are to be perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect." That kind of slaps you in the face, doesn't it? We have to love those who hate us, and we have to love those who, don't really care anything about us. We have to be a friend to those who are friendless. That's who our neighbor is. In fact, here is a reason for maturity or perfection. This expression is so far beyond the ordinary expressions of natural love that there is no doubt that the Spirit of God is at work in you. It is a very special kind of love manifestation. Moffat translates verses 47 this way: "If you only salute your friends, what is special about that?" J.B. Phillips translates this verse, "Are you doing anything exceptional?" The Christian is to manifest, to show, to act on a very special, exceptional kind of life action. By loving an enemy or enemies, such a love removes all doubt. The person expressing this kind of love is exhibiting the kind of love Jesus showed. A beautiful illustration of this principle takes place in a martyrdom of Stephen when he says, "Lord, do not hold this sin against them." Acts 7:60. This is a genuine fruit of the Spirit action. Love changes the character of people who love. You simply cannot express this kind of love without being changed yourself. That is the power of the supreme fruit of the Spirit. It isn't only objective, it's subjective. It is an impossibility to love others and still remain unlovely yourself. There are too many people who have accepted Christ as Savior who still have hearts that are hard and cold toward others. Here's the answer. As the Spirit of God works with the seed which has been planted and the recipient is obedient, love actions soon melt any hardness of heart. One prime example of how this works is from the life of John the Beloved, also known as the Apostle of Love. All of his writings are filled with admonishments to love one another, yet it is not always a character trait of John's. Perhaps you recall that on more than one occasion Jesus had to deal with James and John, who were nicknamed the Sons of Thunder. John was more than willing to call down fire from heaven to destroy an entire Samaritan village. This was anything but a loving attitude. But in later years, after the Spirit of Christ had breathed into him following the resurrection, and the years of the following teachings of Christ, all of that was changed in him. The thunder may have remained, but it became a passionate love for others, a supreme loyalty to Jesus Christ, and a love for the truth. Yes, when you love as you express love, you will experience a dynamic change in your own lifestyle. This is an action of the Spirit in obedient life. You will be able to love the unlovable. There are lots and lots of people in the world who would not be considered an enemy. These may do us no harm. Yet these are people whom we have a hard time loving. We might not hate them. We might not dislike them. They may be like running fingernails over a chalkboard in your life, just plain irritating. Who are these people? Quite easy. These are the people you'd rather avoid being around. These are individuals as well as classes of people we don't like. Maybe they are socially impaired, ill-mannered, loud, slick, not trustworthy, uncouth. Without manifestation of this kind of love, would we have missionaries? Would there be hospitals? Would churches have built colonies where lepers are cared for? Would there be hospice ministries? Would there be ministries to AIDS victims? Would there be shelters for abused women and children? Natural philanthropists have done much in these kinds of areas, but shouldn't the Christians go that second mile? So the crucial test is the capacity to love all kinds of people. It is the fruit of the Spirit at work, making real changes in the world. I have wept in the night for the shortness of sight, that to somebody's need I was blind, but I've never yet felt a twinge of regret for being a little too kind. That's a sweet little poem, but the author is unknown, but it's so cool. Because we never have to regret when we're kind to others and loving. You will be able to live an unselfish life. One of the major curses to our day is the obnoxious trend to me-first-isms. You know, ours is the me-first generation. We need to admit it and come clean. We are being drowned in the philosophy of gross selfishness. Go to any bookstore and look at the self-help shelves. Tune into any of the TV and radio talk shows. To go to entertainment venues and see how we have immersed ourselves in pleasing number one. Just because you have become a Christian doesn't mean that you are free from selflessness and pride. Lots of Christians are fighting this battle. Jesus shows us how to really live for others. He gave up all the glories of heaven so that he could be born in the most humble of circumstances to show us the way to living the unselfish life. Inherently, we are born selfish. It is only by the work of the Spirit of God in our eternal parts that allows us to live for others. Here is the test. Straight to the point. This is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us, and we aren't to lay down our lives for our brothers. If anyone has material possessions and sees his brother in need, but has not pity on him, how can the love of God be in him? Dear children, let us not love with words or tongue, but with actions and in truth. And that's 1 John 3:16 through 18. The only way that we can love like this, because of the work of the Spirit, working on our own spirit, our own attitudes, and our own selfish actions. The fruit of the Spirit in the bottom line is really a harvest for others. And the practical application of the fruit of the Spirit, we will go over that tomorrow. But let's stop and take a moment today to think. Think about this verse, 1 John 3:18. Dear children, let us not love with words or tongue, but with actions and in truth. We can say we love all we want to, but if our actions doesn't show we love, then we really don't. It is hard to love our enemies. It's hard to love those we don't like. It's hard to love, to be around, show love to the unloved. I mean, those who just don't want to be loved, we still have to show love to those. And it's hard. And the only way that we can do that is by the Spirit working in our own spirit. So I pray today that, along with me, that we examine our hearts and find out exactly where we are in loving others. Tomorrow I will continue this with applications of love. Thank you so much for joining us. There's no questions for this part today, but we will continue tomorrow. God bless and have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.